And we are live. Good morning, good morning, good morning, South Florida. Hello, world. I am Robert Henderson Jr., President, Founder, CEO of the Henderson Financial Group, and President, Founder, CEO of Henderson Insurance and Henderson
Woo!
Realty Enterprises. Yes.
Oh, but
So I got
hey,
a lot of
Rob,
stuff to do.
we got to put it all in the beneath you. So
No, that's a lot. Hey, listen, man, and then also our company here, we do mortgages and hey man, we're getting ready to start helping people with wills and trusts and that kind of thing, So we really growing. We continually to revamp and change and develop and help the people. So
Rob,
it's a lot
well,
going on.
well, anyway, Rob, I must say good morning to you, and I know that all is well because you are looking so youthful.
I
I
don't know
from a
about
man.
that.
Yeah. Oh, Rob, hey, Rob. Obviously, you're getting that exercise in, although you're working hard, right?
Yeah, man, I'm working hard. I'm working hard, never worked. Boy, I'm telling you. Hey, listen, my mind, I'm using my left brain and my right brain, man. I tell you. Oh man, look who just dropped in, bro, man. Let's look who just dropped in backstage. Let's bring her
Uh-oh.
on. Look who just dropped in.
Wait a minute.
Goodness gracious.
Whoa! Look at she added
Look,
all the beauty, all the beauty.
look who
Thank
dropped
you.
in. You
I
like she
missed
coming,
those compliments, James. Thank you
Oh my
so much.
goodness, yes,
man. You like
wow, and she's sparkling on a Saturday.
she just coming right off the runway of the Oscars. She just coming up
Two
from
of
the
my
Oscars.
favorite people. I gotta represent, show up, and
Oh,
shine for you both.
oh,
Yes.
Linda, it is so good to see you, sister. It's so
Thank
good to see
you.
you. Yes,
Yeah, Linda
indeed.
been out there. Linda been doing it. James, you know what? I've been busy. I've been working. Linda been woo. Linda been burning both ends of the candle also.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
hey,
I really have. Still
it's,
haven't found a husband, but
stop,
that's on the
stop.
Ah,
back. That's on
Forget
the
about
back
ah.
that, Linda.
You
burner.
too
That's on the
busy to
back
find a
burner.
husband.
That's on the back burner.
You
Very
too busy
good.
to find a husband.
Yes,
You in
sir.
this committee, you in this development, you meeting with this banker, you trying to
He would
go for the money. You too busy. If you saw a husband, you wouldn't even know it.
Yeah,
no,
you're right. It'll
Rob.
go over my head.
He wouldn't put up with that. He would put up with and Rob, because we are too demanding of her for her to have a demanding husband.
It's good to be here. Thank you for always keeping the porch light on, as you say, Robert, and the door open. So
Good,
thank you
good,
for letting
good.
me drop in and have part of the fun. The band's back together again.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
the band's back together again, singing them some,
Excellent.
some new tunes. We got some new tunes though. We'll sing some old ones, but we got some new ones,
We
right?
got some new ones, exactly.
We got a special guest, a dear friend of mine, a childhood friend of mine. I didn't know his daughter was in accounting and does accounting, and she specialized doing accounting for business owners. And I had the pleasure of speaking with her, and I can tell that just that spirit inside of me meets another spirit. And I'm like, okay, this girl's got it. I can tell she got that snack. How does it snap? Pop,
Yeah,
crackle, and pop.
crackle
Yeah,
pop.
yeah.
Crackling pop.
I can tell in a voice that she can speak up and she knows what she's talking about. And I was talking to her, and I thought about, because we deal with Larissa also, who's a certified tax coach. Larissa is swamped just like we're swamped, and I'm definitely gonna hook. Her name is Natalia. My wife name is Natalie. Her name is Natalia. I like that. um, I'm gonna hook her up with Larissa also, because Larissa does need to know her, because she does. Natalia does some specialty like foundations, setting up corporations, and I can tell she got that youth and she got that wind behind her, man. So
Mm.
let's bring her in so we can introduce her to the
Absolutely.
world. Okay.
Hi, thank you so much. How are you? Good
Good.
morning.
How you doing, Natalia?
Good, good, good.
Good. I said it right. It's been about 15 years you've been practicing in accounting.
Yes, it's been about 15 years. I've been in the accounting industry and I've worked my way into the business development industry probably about 10 years ago.
I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I was talking with you earlier, a couple of weeks ago, as a matter of fact, and you was telling me how you specialize in dealing with small business owners. And not only that, putting corporate structures together like S Corps, C Corps, and foundations. And you and I started talking about living trust and solo 401k, and you was
Yeah.
keeping right up with me, man. I was like, oh man, look at this.
All
That was
right.
very, very impressive. I definitely want to start doing some business. That's why I'm bringing you on the show, so the rest of our team, people here who sign up and look at it and listen to us and hear us all over the world. As a matter of fact, I want them to know who you are. We're gonna give them your telephone number, and I'm definitely gonna hook you up with Larissa. She's in Atlanta. You in Port St. Lucie? Is where you are?
Yes, Port St. Lucie.
Yeah, but the good thing about nowadays, wherever you are, we have the internet. We have GoToMeeting, so you have clients all over the country too, I assume, right?
Yes, so I have clients all over the country. We service everywhere nationwide. And also I have clients in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Palm Beach, Georgia. We have clients pretty much everywhere, and we service them virtually, as you mentioned, like Zoom, GoToMeetings, and a bunch of different platforms.
You know what stuck out when I looked at her website, Linda and James? I know a lot of people, when they call me and they said, hey, they need to incorporate, they need to set up an LLC or S Corp or a C Corp partnership. And they, most accountants, attorneys, they charge, $500 or more just to set up the paperwork. A lot of people, do it themselves and they muck it up. You know what I mean? They don't do it right because they feel like, hey, I can just go and do it myself. But they don't get everything. They don't get the operating agreement. They probably don't get the stamp, the seal. They just, they just get it raw, so to speak, and it's not really done correctly. What I like about Natalia, she don't charge $500. She charges less half than that, and then she gets it done. So I said, oh my goodness, there's a lot of people out here that do not know that she exists, and I wanted to introduce our audience to her today. Now, one of the things another thing that stuck out with me with you was when I seen that you help create foundations and the amount that you charge to create a foundation. And then I want to know how much do you know about foundations. So I want to talk about that. Why it's important, why you think it's very important to have a foundation, how it benefits the people that's listening to us, people that have businesses, and why people have it. And I want to talk to you about, there's two types of foundations: private foundations and they're public foundations. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, I want you to grab your coffee, grab your tea, hold on to your hats. You're getting ready to go to another level, and we're getting ready to educate you. So today is Education Saturday, and we're talking to Natalia Cox, right?
Yes.
All right. Hey, how you doing, Brenda Brown? Good morning. Good morning. Y'all get ready to share this information, because this is very invaluable what we're going to be talking about. You hear people saying they have a foundation. And we want to talk to you about why they have a foundation, what's the purpose, and what's the benefits of having a foundation. Maybe you should have a foundation, nonprofit foundation. Tracy, how you doing? You need to get this too, Tracy. Who else over here? And then gangs all falling in. Okay, so let's talk first about why did you go into the field of setting up foundation, and what is a foundation?
So there are two types of foundations, like you mentioned. There's a private foundation and a public foundation. I love setting them up for different businesses and individuals. I typically tell individuals, if you have a business that is for profit, set up a not for profit, which the private and the public foundation fall under a not for profit status. But I got into it because originally I started in the accounting industry as an accountant. As I began to work my way up, I started as a cost accountant, and I worked for a pretty large company in Boca Raton, Florida. And I worked under my first CPA, and he was amazing. I watched the company structure as I began to grow, and I noticed how larger corporations are set up, right? So it's not just one corporation, there's multiple entities. Most corporations that are on a larger scale than our small businesses who are starting, they always have about maybe 3 different companies that they run. They have a primary company, they have a sister company, which they use for backup lending, and then they also have like a nonprofit. So the nonprofit is for tax write-off. Most people don't know that. And the purpose, that's the benefit, right? To write off on the taxes. But the actual purpose of the nonprofit is to give away. That's the ultimate goal, to
Mhm.
give funding away to support some type of goal or some type of community impact. But on the other hand, the business gets to receive funding to give away. The funding that comes in supports employee costs. It supports the foundation costs. It also supports any type of expense throughout the business, and then you get to write those expenses off. Now,
Yes.
what we love about the foundations are anything you purchase when you have the IRS tax exemption status, you are exempt from taxes. That means if you decide to purchase a property today in the foundation's name, there you will not pay property taxes. So typically you may be a homeowner and you pay about $10,000, $5,000 in property taxes a year. If you decided to purchase a property where you see companies purchase properties every day, that building is now tax exempt. The vehicle that you purchase under the nonprofit is tax exempt. Any type of purchase, when you go to Best Buy and you decide to purchase equipment from Best Buy has a program where you enroll and they'll give you a card for every foundation and they'll say, hey, any purchase you make here, it's tax exempt. You don't pay taxes on it. And a lot of companies are like that. So
Okay.
Don't you have to claim that as income? The nonprofit, all the taxes you saved? That's,
no,
I don't know. I'm asking.
no, you don't. It's
Whoa.
just you are completely exempt. You don't.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So now we're gonna walk this thing through,
Love it.
and we're gonna play act, because that's what I like to do with my give them a visual, not just
Yes,
with
you do.
words.
Yes,
I like
you
to
do.
give them a visual. Linda,
Okay.
Linda, yes you do. You got the band back there. Yes you do. Come on. Okay.
Sure do.
Yeah. That's my backup singer. Natalia, that's my sister-in-law. She's my backup singer.
Oh
I
my
say stuff
goodness.
you do.
Keep going. Keep going.
All right. So let's walk this through, because I like to give a demonstration. Okay.
Awesome. Let's go.
So here's a guy. He is an entrepreneur and he has an S corporation. Okay, he's in business, LLC. Okay, and he is buying. He's getting paid, and he's also has a piece of real estate. And he likes. As a matter of fact, he have a couple pieces of real estate, and he's paying out taxes because he don't really know how to do deductions. He has an accountant that don't really know what they're doing. And it's not a strategist, because most people have accountants that are not strategists. So this guy here is a business owner, and he has two pieces of property, rental properties. Now, if he came to you, would you recommend? He's paying income tax. Let's say he's paying $20,000 a year out of his income tax, because he has some profits in his business, but the accountant doesn't really know how to depreciate or really max out the rental property. And if he comes to you, would you recommend him to think about having a foundation, or could a foundation help him in what he's trying to do?
Yes. So it can help him directly and indirectly. So I would always tell him to set up a public foundation. So the public foundation has one avenue, which is direct. If he has that property, he sets up the foundation, he waits. Typically, IRS will give him the tax exemption status anywhere from 3 to 6 months. He waits 3 to 6 months to set up the tax exemption status. Then he can deed the property to the nonprofit. Okay, so you can do
Now, does it have to be free and clear?
No, it does not have to be free and clear.
So that property can still have a mortgage on it.
It can have a mortgage on it.
And he can quit claim deed that property out of his name and put it into his you say a public foundation?
Correct. Private foundation, and I'll tell you the difference between the private and the public in a second. But yes, you can deed it over to the public foundation. Once you deed it over to the public foundation, you contact the county that you pay the taxes in. They have a specific form that you would fill out for that property to be tax exempt. They go through the application process. They check your tax exemption status, no matter if you have a mortgage on there or not. And after about 30 to 60 days, they'll come back and tell you from this time period to this time period, it will be tax exempt depending on when you submit the application. Okay, so that's the direct version.
Okay, so let me walk this through like a 6-year-old. Okay. So we know we got this guy. He has 2 pieces of rental property, and we know when you have rental property, the property taxes keep going up every year because you don't have homestead exemption.
Right.
So, and we know the Vatican own a lot of property. They buy this property, and they also buy it, and they're tax exempt because it belongs to the church and their foundation. So we know that. And we know a lot of people that don't look like us, they do this. So I want to come in.
That's
We want to walk this right. I want to walk this thing through. So here's this guy. He's working. He has his business. He has 2 pieces of rental property, and every year, them done property taxes keep going up right along with the homeowners insurance keeps going up, and he has to pay it. And now the property tax is killing him, and it's hurting his profits. And the kids keep going up on the tenant's rent in order to cover that. But now you're saying if they take a step and deed those properties over to a foundation, that will stop the bleeding, and it will stop that homeowner, that investor from paying property taxes. It'll become exempt. Is that what I heard you say?
Correct, but that's option 1. So
okay,
that is correct. So if we go to option 2, which is indirect, which I would recommend the option 2 for the indirect option for rental properties. Option 2, you would create a charitable trust. Okay. Most people hear about the charitable trust and they don't understand the breakdown. So the charitable trust, you create a trust and you can deed the property to the trust. That trust sole obligation is that when that person passes away, everything the trust owns is transferred over to one charity. And that nonprofit that you create is the charity it belongs to.
Oh, so it went through a step.
Whoa, that's chest
Right.
there. Wow.
So that's what you call a charitable trust. A lot of people have living trusts. There's multiple different types of trusts, but if you have a charitable trust, what you're doing is you're saying the trust owns the property, the building, and the trust has one stipulation. It has to give every property that the trust owns, not to your dependent, not to a family member. It has to go to the nonprofit. And if the stipulation is in the charitable trust agreement, you can write everything off as tax exempt, long as the foundation has the IRS tax exemption. And I like to use that method for people who are renting out properties. The indirect method is a lot better than the direct method, because the direct method, which was option 1, the direct method, you have to have more of a mission. You have to have more of your vision programs that are set up in place.
For the foundation, you mean? For the foundation, right?
You have to have that in place and operating 100% when you're doing it the first option, right? So you have to have a program going. You have to say, hey,
yeah, you have to have a foundation where your foundation is set up for kids, for children, for education, for daycare or whatever. Right? Okay.
Option 2, which is indirect, the foundation does not have to be 100% operating. So
now let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. So indirect is going right to the just putting it right in the foundation.
Correct.
So you're gonna get scrutinized to make sure by you putting that property in the foundation, what is the missions of the foundation?
Correct. And does the property align with the mission of the foundation?
Right. Okay. So more question is asked. Okay. But Correct. If you go indirectly, they don't ask that many questions, because you took that property and you put it into a charitable trust, and ultimately the charitable trust property that you put in there is going to filter down into the foundation.
Correct. That is very correct.
Let me ask you a question. On the foundation has a board of directors, correct?
Correct. Can
you have your family members as board of directors?
Yep, you can. You just need to identify what their position is in the nonprofit. And typically I tell people you should have odd number of board members, 3 or 5, typically not 2 or 4, because if you have to vote on something, you get tied, you can't break out. So I tell people 3 or 5 members. And yes, you can have family members. You just describe what their position is and their resume.
Yeah, one little Junior answer the phone, other little Sally take out the garbage. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Hey, Rob, I've got a question.
Okay.
What are some of the benefits that you will get after, we get our wings and you've left it in the foundation under those members of the board, which may be your family members? Can they also be employed by the foundation?
Yes. Okay. So they can be employed by the foundation, and there are so many different grants for nonprofits for employees that a lot of people don't know about. So if you're in Broward or Dade County, I have worked with these programs myself. You can actually go to Career Source Broward. Okay, this is a freebie here. You can go to Career Source Broward. If you are a nonprofit, you can register with them today. They will pay 80 to 100% of your employee cost payroll for 90 days for your employees. And the last time I worked with them, they did not have a limit. But yes, you may hire employees for your nonprofit. You can fund them and pay payroll through the grants and the donations that come in. And also there are grant programs that cover employee costs for nonprofits. Miami-Dade has the same program through Career Source. If you have employees and you want to even hire new employees, they will cover the payroll costs for your nonprofit for about 90 days.
But if we find that, people that may not be as charitable as Robert, myself, or Linda might be, if you that, particularly your family members, and I'm saying children, quote unquote. See, because when we're gone, they're saying, hey, I don't want to do what my dad or what my mom.
Right.
So how do you protect, and you want them to be able to support, particularly our communities, because one of the things that many people get into is that they call it a bad word, and I said it's a great word, gentrification in our communities, right? And it's not a bad word. It's just we're not doing the gentrifying. Yeah, we're letting someone else come into our community and meet our needs. So if we can convince family members to further their education and to further meet the needs of the community. So after Robert and I 120 years of being on this earth, and we passed it on to our 60-some-year-old kids, that they will be able to, continue to generate revenue and fund, quote unquote, the charitable trust as well as the foundation. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yes. And a lot of times the nonprofits, in order to continue funding, I like to encourage everyone to partner. Okay, so you should partner your organization, your nonprofit organization, with different organizations, such as there may be Hands-On Miami-Dade, the Children's Service Council. They fund a lot of nonprofits in your area. The county, the city, they have a lot of grant funding, and then you create programs with maybe a small admin fee or management fee for each person that you help. So say you may help children, all right? So the parents' cost to enroll them in that program may cost them maybe $1,000 for that program, but you're going to waive $980 of that program. The parent only has to pay $20. That $20 is contributing every time a new client or person comes on. I'm not going to say client. Every time a new individual registers into your nonprofit, that $20 support is revenue into your nonprofit. So you have to find different ways to keep the money coming in. I always tell nonprofits, keep your fundraising events going. Events are always going to bring you revenue. Always have a program that has some type of registration cost. Even though the complete program may cost $1,000, go ahead and charge the parent maybe $20, which is always affordable. So you always have something coming in to cover your admin costs. And then you have other grants and program sponsorships that you use to cover that. And then your children will be able to succeed and continuing to carry on your legacy.
Oh man, you got this down pat. I love it.
Robert. But see, now I'm going to tell you, just like we needed Larissa, you're going to need a Natalia.
Why do you think I got it?
Rob, because if all of these transactions and things have to be recorded or reported, right? They do have to, so that if ever checked, you want to have all your paperwork in order. You need someone that's going to oversee that. Would you suggest that, Natalia?
Yes, you do. You need someone who's going to oversee that. It's record keeping. You need your minutes every month. Someone who's looking at your books. Yes, every month and every year. That's correct.
Okay. Right. Oh.
Who's checking for that? What if I don't have my books? Who's checking? What's my penalty?
IRS is coming for you. Typically, you have to turn in your tax return every year for your nonprofit, just as other businesses have to turn in their tax return. There are two different types of tax returns. So whichever category you fall into, you turn it in. And also on a state level. So on the state level, they're actually looking at your revenue, your expenses, and every person that donates to your organization requires a listing of your partners and your funding as well.
Okay. Now, Pernell just asked, I think, a great question, Rob. Check out your chat.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. Yes.
Oh.
So Parnell, before I go to that one, I wanted to ask a question because I know what Parnell thinking. I know what he's thinking.
I do too.
We talk all the time. So Natalia, okay. So when we talked about, here's a guy that has property, 2 pieces of property, and we know that the property taxes are going higher each year because he don't have homestead exemption, and that's bugging him out, especially here in South Florida. So he and also with the insurance, but he's making a profit with his tenants. Okay, so now he hears you and he says, okay, he wants to quit claim. He wants to deed the property over to the charitable trust and ultimately to the foundation. Now, the question is, this guy is getting nice cash flow from these 2 properties. He really is. It's helping him having a great lifestyle. And he's also investing some of the money. So the question is, once he deeds these 2 properties, income producing rental properties, to the charitable trust, what happens to the income? Does he lose his income, his lifestyle, and it goes into the trust? Explain that, because he's really bugging at the end. I can hear him. I can see him at the edge of his seat. Want to know what happened to the money?
Yeah, he needs the chick magnet car. He needs the Lamborghini. he needs all of that.
He likes the tax deductions. He didn't want to get rid of them property taxes, but he want to know if there's a cost to that. There's a sacrifice. What happens to his rental income once he deeds that property over to the charitable trust? Tell me about it.
All right, so that's why in the advising stage, I will say go with the indirect option. That's option 2, as you mentioned, the charitable trust, because a trust operates just as a business, okay? The trust operates as the business. They set aside the assets that will go to the foundation, but if his trust brings in a profit at the end of the year, he is okay. It's perfectly fine. Trusts do have a profit. They operate just as a business. They have revenue, they have expenses. You will notice when you complete a tax return, you do have to file a tax return for your trust. The charitable trust will say, maybe I brought in $100,000, and I'm just giving an example, and there were $20,000 in management fees. There were $10,000 in utilities. There were maybe payroll expenses, whatever it took to operate to keep the trust operating. We go down to the bottom line, which is what was the profit margin. You do not have to take a loss, and you do not have to donate all of the revenue, all of the profit margin to the foundation. It's sitting in the account that's saying, one day, if something happens to you, this money will go to your charitable foundation if you pass away. this profit margin. But as of today, when we close the year, that profit margin can sit in that trust and be used towards the trust or paying employees and whatever it takes to operate.
So in other words, once he put that rental income, say one of the properties is bringing him $4,000 cash flow a month, and he using that for his lifestyle. Once he deeds that property into the charitable trust, that $4,000 a month that was going to him so he can go have a good time, that ends?
No, it does not.
It can come to him monthly still?
He pays himself as payroll. If he continues to put himself on payroll, he can pay himself through payroll through the trust. Every trust allows you to pay yourself as payroll. So it depends on how he would like to take that funding out.
But now, if he gets that as payroll, he does get taxed on it. Correct?
He does get taxed on it. He will.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, well, he's getting taxed on it anyway. So, but he it's in the trust. He's still gonna have to pay tax on it one way or the other, unless they paying him cash, Section 8 or something. If they paying him cash. But if he's still getting that cash, he's getting it. But at least he can stop that bleeding with them property taxes.
With the property taxes.
Because he's in the trust. Now, the other question Parnell asked is, now, okay, we clear on that. This is a strategy. He's gonna take his property. He's going to put it into the charitable trust. He's still going to be able to get the cash flow income, but he's going to stop that bleeding on that property taxes. Now, this property that he has is free and clear. It has no mortgage on it. And he want to be able to leverage if he want to pull out a couple $100,000 to buy more property, but it's in this charitable trust and he got to set up. He stopped the bleeding for the taxes. Now it has a free and clear property in this charitable trust that's bringing him $4,000 income. How does he get, if he ever want to bring $200,000-$300,000 out of the equity of that charitable trust property, can he do that?
Yes, he just has to make sure he's listed as the trustee. So if he's the trustee and he manages it, he can go to any bank, any lender, and lenders are very familiar with this trust, with the trust outline and the agreements, the different types. They are very familiar. The loan officers also. Long as he is the trustee, he will be able to go to a bank and he will be able to pull out an equity loan, or he can refinance the property. He can do pretty much whatever he would like to take a mortgage out on that property or any type of funding on that property if he needs it.
That's exactly right. I knew you was going to say that. I love that. So Parnell, oh man, boy, you getting ready to have somebody call you up. Natalia, his name is Parnell Victor. I've been knowing him for almost 30 years, and this guy has really advanced. I mean, that's all he do is think about his money. That ain't all he do, well, but that's a good part of his life.
That's right up there, right?
That's right up there. And
I have a question. I have a question, Natalia. Real life, real scenario. Mm-hmm. Getting ready to build a multifamily building. Mm-hmm. I'm going to put it in my nonprofit. Mm-hmm. I can go to Home Depot and get all the toilets and drywall and paint and nail and not pay taxes on these materials.
That's correct. If you go right to the Home Depot has a website where you can register your nonprofit and you can buy your toilet, your tub, your shower, your paints, all of that.
All the building materials, the stove, refrigerators.
Every last thing. The same thing. Best Buy, Walmart has the same program also. Walmart, Target. You register your nonprofit, you can just purchase through your account with no taxes added on.
So I was under the understanding is because they have the program at the end of the year, Home Depot will send me an accounting of everything I purchased under my nonprofit. Correct. It may total $200,000. Mm-hmm. Is that not income to the nonprofit, or that just?
No, that's your expense just without taxes on it. That's it. It's just you did not pay any state sales tax. You didn't pay county sales tax or city sales tax. That's all.
Love it, love it, love it. Okay.
So now we talked about the public foundation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is all.
Now I want you to explain the difference between the public and the private, because we know that a lot of rich, wealthy people have the private. So we want.
That's right. So as James T. mentioned earlier, can your children serve as employees or can they serve as your board members, right? That's typically on your public foundation. You have your family members as your board members, and you are serving the community with to serve a different impact or give them something back in the area, right?
Right.
With private foundation, these are usually held by wealthy people, okay? Very wealthy people, because this is how they keep their money safe and it goes exactly where they want it to go, okay? There's usually an individual who has a large lump sum of money, and I'm talking millions and millions, maybe billions, okay? They create a private foundation that actually gives their money to another college. Sometimes private foundations fund typically colleges. They don't do a full community service where they're doing a social service for a community or they're helping impact multiple programs. They are gearing their private foundation towards a family. They're gearing their private foundation towards a college, a school. Sometimes you'll even see horses. So it might just be geared towards to help horses in the area. But the foundation is typically set up by a corporation or a wealthy individual. They sit money in the account and they determine where they would like the funds distributed out to. And it typically goes to college. Or,
when you hear a lot of the billionaires saying they're giving all their money to charity. No, they're not. They're not giving it to United Way. They're giving it to their own private foundation that they can control.
Correct.
So they're really keeping their money. They just
correct.
They're putting it out, taking out of one pocket and putting it in the other, but it looks good saying, I'm giving all my money to charity. Yeah, whose charity? My own charity. That's what that's a private foundation. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that do so much around the world, they're able to not pay taxes on their money because they're trying to do well while doing good, or do good while doing well. And so they getting clean water in Sudan. They're doing all, but they also saving taxes for themselves.
Correct. So they take this money that they have $1 billion. They place it into the foundation, into their private foundation. That private foundation is not taxed. They just wrote off $1 billion off of their personal income or wherever the income just came from. So they wrote off $1 billion that they don't have to pay.
Wow.
It goes into the private foundation, and then from there they can distribute it and say, as you just said, we want clean water, or we want the turtles to be safe in the ocean. So it goes directly there, and it's really what they're paying for are their research costs. So Melinda and Bill Gates may have their foundation, but they're just funding their research costs to find out if this new water strategy they're coming up with actually works.
Robert, Opelika building a new facility at the park. Perhaps you can donate and have one of the meeting rooms named after you, Junebug meeting room, and you can write it off since you're Opelika, you know. I think that would be.
Thanks for that information. I need to hear that.
That's exactly how you see the college. When you see the college and it says, we'll say Robert Henderson Building. Robert Henderson's foundation bought that building. That's exactly why it's named after him. He gifted a nice penny to that.
It'll be an insurance policy. Trust me.
Gotta get back, man. Gotta get back.
It'll be insurance. It'll be a proceeds from insurance policy. My greenbacks ain't going in there. Insurance company. After I go to the insurance company, I'll pay for that.
Take care of it. They'll take care of that. Right?
Yeah. That. So let me ask you a question. So you recommend, I should say, you think that it's a good idea for people who are entrepreneurs, people who are business owners, people who are just really, moving and grooving and trying to build wealth. Just like we think, and we know that it's very important to have more than one entity. If you just have an LLC, you probably not taking all the advantages of the U.S. tax code, because you need to have different tax structures. Because you receive money, you want to have a different, whether you want to have an LLC, then you probably want to have an S Corp, a C Corp, or partnership. It depends on how many layers you want to have in order to mitigate the taxes. You do believe that anyone that's trying to be proactive and be all they could be and get their hustle on, you think that it's very advantageous for them to look into how a foundation will help enhance their goals. Is that true?
Yes, I recommend this to clients so it can help them hand in hand. We first get your initial company off the ground, so we'll get the LLC registered. You can set the LLC up as a S corp or a C corp, and sometimes you may not need a LLC. So we have real estate agents and brokers who may need to be a PA, or attorneys who may need to have a professional association. However, you can set that organization up, and then after we set up the for-profit organization, we'll come back and say, when you're ready, let's start the nonprofit organization. And that takes a little longer than your regular for-profit company, because we do have to go through IRS and gaining that tax exemption status. And the paperwork, the application is pretty big. The application is pretty big. It's a tedious process going for that tax exemption status. And like I said, it takes about 6 months. So we help you, walk you through that process and get that nice paper that you save, and you don't have to worry about those taxes.
You know what stood out? I'm sorry. What stood out is when I looked at the cost for you setting up a foundation, I was terrible. I mean, I was impressed, because I really was. I have to say, I was impressed.
All about the money.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to talk about that? Because some people really try to rob people and just charge a lot. Can you tell us, for listeners, the average cost when you set up a foundation for someone? Do you want to go into that?
Yes. So it really is based on the title, right? So getting into this business, I really understood as a business owner myself, launching my business, how much it would cost me to actually start my business. The startup cost is kind of crazy, especially when you're looking for guidance, you're looking for strategy, you need advice. So if you go sit down with a business attorney right now, just for advice, you're going to spend maybe $500 for the advice, not to start the business. Okay.
Wow.
They're going to counsel you on the steps to take, and then you may spend up to $1,000 just registering your business. And I noticed that a lot of people who are starting off as entrepreneurs, we can't afford to just give away to an attorney $1,000 for advice. So I have created a structure where there are different templates. It's automation, right? That's how we keep up now. It's not AI, but it is automation. And we have just a set for a template where we use every client. And then if we have to customize that template, we customize it. So we have different packages. We're able to help you at a more affordable rate, because we know by the time you start that business with a attorney or someone who's charging $1,000, you don't even have the $100 to start to open your bank account when it's time to get your business going.
Right.
That's true.
So we like to help you just at least get in, and the process is not as lengthy as the attorneys make it seem. They're using it because they have to. The real catch is the attorney has a lot of student loan debt, okay? And they have to pay that student loan debt back. So they
got the fancy office.
You for that degree and that attorney license. That's it. For that law license, they have to upcharge you, and that's what you're paying for. But the process is the same.
Well, one of the things that I want to ask, in the era that this country is in, and even though I live here, I'm a citizen of the kingdom, right? But so, hey, yeah, and I do have a card that says I'm a citizen here, but really I'm a citizen of the kingdom. What kind of alarms and alerts are you getting or feeling now as all these changes are coming from our federal government?
It's getting really rough, especially for employees. Your job is very uncertain at this moment. But even in entrepreneurship, what's another area that's going to become very uncertain is import-export. Because of the tariffs, we don't know which way it's going. Because of tariffs, a lot of companies are going to have to cut back on their employees. And also because of AI, a lot of companies are letting go of their employees because they have a computer that can take care of what a human was doing. So at this point, I am seeing where people should be shifting to find out how to either invest their money where it can be passive income, or where they can create a business that won't be really restricted based off of tariffs for import and export. But you definitely want to get into something where you can start experimenting how you can make more income and not rely on your employer anymore.
Woo! That is, I think, is excellent. Just because, so we have become so comfortable. Robert and I, and Linda, we always talk about how people get comfortable in these quote unquote government jobs. You're not comfortable anymore. And if you have not made any plans or preparations, and you only plan to retire because of age and what has been in the past, I think that's going to be really a struggle for a lot of people, and it's going to create anxiety. And what happens when we get anxiety, or when we become fearful, or when we believe that we're not going to be able to meet our basic needs. Now, people start doing, and more than anything, people start taking some very risky chances and making some bad moves. Your thoughts?
Be very careful now. That I would say, seek help, seek counsel when it comes to taking a risky move. If you're not sure, seek counsel, get some advice. But there are going to be a lot of people out here telling you, hey, jump this way, jump in this direction, spend your money here. And a lot of times when they're telling you to jump so fast, it does come with a lot of upfront money. Anything that requires a lot of upfront money where it's going to set you back, if you lose that money, you definitely want to seek counsel outside and separate from the person who you're going to invest with. So that would be my tip for you. Just don't jump to everything. And really, just as I said, you really want to stick to something that isn't going to be really restricted by tariffs, and you want to stick to something that's not going to that's going to be more passive in investing. So that would be
tell you, Robert and James, we always have this debate where they say there's 24 hours in a day. When you come home from work, what you gonna do? And why don't you have 3 jobs? And I would always say, you know what, y'all giving people anxiety. Everybody don't have the same drive. And now that these massive government layoffs, and they're going to get there, maybe a lump sum, maybe a severance, maybe, and so these people are going to say, oh my goodness, I got a lump sum of money. I have to find something to do to keep my income going, to feed my family. And they're going to want to find the next big thing. And so as we keep saying to them, you got to keep going, you got to keep doing, you got this, it's only 24 hours in a day. I think we need to dial it back. Don't really have them people feeling like I got to jump in on, Donald J. Trump, Bitcoin, and all this crazy. I mean, so many things out there. I predict these people, once they get their severance package, boy, don't come to Florida. We the number 1 scam in the world. Do not. They will take your money. They will take your money.
You need to call Robert Henderson.
Well, I'm getting a lot of calls because nowadays, like you say, there people are going into the selling of a dream business.
Yes.
And Natalia, there's so many people out here are quick to tell you how to get rich quick, and it costs $10,000 or $20,000 for them to show you how to do that. And a lot of people believe that it's got to be true what they're saying, because why would it cost so much?
Wow.
Okay, wow.
And they're paying,
right.
and they're paying $10,000 and $20,000 to, learn how to get rich quick, without really doing a whole lot. And I always tell them when they come to me, like one guy came to me and he said that this organization told him $10,000 to show him how he can sell a lot of a premium finance. You know, a friend of mine, he was telling me that, and he said they wanted $10,000, and I said, run. I said, because if they're making so much money, they're not bugging you about $10,000. Think about it. If you find somebody that got a hole in the background, and in that hole, they have a hole in the backyard, and in that hole is just endless gold, or diamonds and diamonds. Do you think that person will set up shop and start calling you saying, give me $10,000 so you can go in this backyard and get this gold and this diamond? No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't be telling you that. If they know where the gold and the diamonds is, they're not selling you. They won't sell it to you because they'll get it all for themselves. So when something's so good to be true, sounds too good to be true, it usually is. And anytime people start telling you, listen, $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000, I'm going to show you how to buy and sell real estate with no money down. If that was so true, let me tell you something. They wouldn't be telling you. They'll just be doing it all for themselves. They ain't got no time for that. I'm telling you. But people want to get it.
A lot of people getting. I pray that if you've been laid off or downsized or dozed out, as they say, please keep your money. Just take a deep breath.
Yes, I recommend the same thing. Keep your money. Really think long and hard. Find a trusted counsel to help you with those decisions. And you have the owner of Walmart, Target. You have all of these retail stores, products that are being sold, and these CEOs are so busy focusing on strategizing higher profit margins, they can't coach you on how to start the same business that they started. So I would keep that in mind. This person who is actually telling you, I can teach you this for $10,000, $20,000. If their business was so profitable and was running so successfully, they wouldn't have the time to be able to coach you, and they actually would have someone else coaching you doing the work, to be honest with you, because they're busy running their business, or they're somewhere in the Cayman Islands looking over their numbers, but they don't have the time
that part.
So remember that. Don't
that,
let them scam you.
No, there's nothing. All of us on here now, we've had at least 15 years or more of doing what we are doing. And it takes time. You know, the story of the turtle and the rabbit, the turtle always wins. I'm telling you, the turtle always wins. Wealth, I tell people all the time, comes with time. If you don't have time, I tell you, if you don't have time, there's nowhere in the world you can get wealthy. You become wealthy. If you don't have time to get wealthy, you're not going to get wealthy. You can get rich. You can get rich now, but you could be poor tomorrow. There's a lot of people that was rich yesterday, but they poor tomorrow. Rich and wealthy is two different things. Wealthy is like a stream, a nice stream of waterfall, just flowing. That's what wealthy is. That's what wealth is. Wealth is just having your blood flow with no arteries, just going through. That's what wealth is. You know what I mean? With nothing clogged. That's what wealth is. When you got your money, you sit back and you serving people, and they just paying you. And that's wealth. You have to learn how to create passive income or cash flow. That's wealth. Like I say, entertainers, athletes become rich, and later on they poor, or I would say they're not rich, and they somebody PE teacher or whatever, talking about what they used to have.
They have a nice salary for the time being, but they get taxed very high also. And by the time they finish, most of them don't have money. That's why we see a lot of our athletes on podcasts as well right now too. They're trying to take over what you guys have going on right now.
A lot of them doing podcasts
out here. So they're trying to find a job, but they're trying to take over what you guys have going on. Don't let them.
We're moving on up.
Miami.
Go ahead, Linda.
Yes, one quick. There was an article in the Miami Herald maybe a week and a half ago, reporting that more Black women are starting businesses, and especially in South Florida, like we're the number one in the country. Do you find that as well? I mean, whether it's selling and making soap or natural hair products, is that something you're finding coming across your desk?
Yes, we have a lot of women that are starting companies, men too, but we have a lot of entrepreneurs that are starting companies. They're just testing the waters, whether it's a car wash or it's the product that they're creating on their own. People are actually just trying to see what type of revenue they can come up with. So people are right now. This is the entrepreneurship booming season, and Florida is one of the highest entrepreneur states as well.
That's what I'm seeing too. The women are doing it. Girl power, black girl power.
Us women, and in March is
Women's History Month.
We are kicking butt.
We salute you,
guys. You have to keep up with us, please.
Well, some guys want y'all to keep on doing it.
Hey, Rob, I've got a question before we go to Natalia. I got a question for you.
Okay.
And I've been hearing this, and as a matter of fact, obviously a lot of other people have been hearing people ask this question, because I'm getting people asking me because of my age. You know, what would you tell your 18-year-old self if you could speak back to that 18, 20-year-old person? What would you say to her to encourage her to, quote unquote, have this better life?
My 18-year-old self, I would have definitely, my grandmother had always told me before, she said, keep good credit, right? She said, keep good credit, my grandmother, and be very independent. So I took those things with me, but it was rocky at 18, even understanding what credit was. I didn't even know that my social was tied to a credit score at 18. So I would tell my old 18-year-old self first, get very abreast about your credit score, your credit report, and knowing what's on your credit report. So that way you can start strategizing on putting things on your credit report to help you make bigger purchases like real estate and things of that nature. So you have something to fall back on. That's what I would tell my 18-year-old self. And just wiser, just live, enjoy, but be very mindful of the company you keep. That's what I would tell my 18. So.
Love it.
You know, I got one more question before we go, because we're gonna have to get prayer after this. So this is a good show.
It's a good show. It's really good. Thank you so much.
There's a lot of people that want to start businesses and they want to go on to be entrepreneurs, and a lot of them start, but they started wrong. They don't keep any books. They don't be on payroll. You know, homeboy Willie got a nice car wash, but he just getting cash. And he really thinks that he's doing it because he says he's under the table. You know, he don't have to pay a lot in taxes because he don't report a lot. And then when it comes time to buy a house, he can't qualify. You know what I mean? So explain how and tell us how it's so important. And on top of that, because I get people to come to me and they haven't filed taxes in 7 years. They've never filed taxes in 7 years. And they got a limousine company, you know, and they're making money. I mean, do you work with people in situations like that?
Yes, I do. I'm currently helping someone who hasn't filed taxes since 2013. And they're in a state where they actually pay state taxes. So I'm helping them, and I would just tell you, you need to file those taxes. There is a myth out there that, oh, I don't want to file my taxes. I don't want to keep up with the records because I'm going to owe IRS. Just because you brought in $2 million, $3 million doesn't mean that you're going to pay taxes on $2 or $3 million on the net profit. We don't know if you made a profit. There's ways to depreciate, and there's so many different strategies. File your taxes. Do not run from IRS, because eventually they will just give an estimated tax of what they think you owe them, and it's better to tell them what you owe them than them tell you what they owe you. I mean what you owe them.
We're going to have to bring you back on that depreciation, because believe me, I have made a terrible mistake in not depreciating or not having the proper knowledge of how to depreciate and benefit from it. Oh my God. Oh, when I found out, I wanted to spank myself.
That's right. And James T, before we go, I know you asked about what I would tell my 18-year-old self. There's something I do want to mention also. for my 18-year-old self, and what a lot of the new generation are doing is marketing. You know, if I could go back and tell my 18-year-old self something, I would have said, hey, make sure I really find out everything I need to know about marketing and sales. That is what's driving every business, every company, every organization. Everyone listening, you can have the best business idea, but if you don't know how to push that business out there into the market, it's just as good as who knows about your business. It will sit there if you don't have customers or a way to spread the word. So marketing is very important. And if you're going to make an investment in a business, I would prefer you invest in marketing before you invest into the business and all the inventory.
That is
Yes,
excellent.
that's excellent.
Excellent.
Now you
That's
have to
excellent.
give out your contact information, because we know that there are a lot of people that are watching this and they want to call you. They're going to be calling me.
Okay.
You and I, with the Henderson Financial Group, we're forming this relationship because I know you know what you're talking about. Plus, I trust my dear friend who's your father. So we're going to, and I know you know a whole lot about the foundations, and I really do like your affordable prices that you charge. I really do.
Thank
Keep going back to the prices.
Yes, and I do know what you're talking about, the automation, because we're going to be doing a whole lot of that with wills and trusts, to helping people with wills and trusts and quick claim deeds. Henderson Financial Group is setting that up. It probably should be launched probably next week, and we're going to talk about that. Also, we're going to have you back on, but give us your contact information and also your website so people can go and peruse it and find out more about you. Okay.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for having me. And my website, first, you can visit us at executivedrive.com. And that's executive with an X in the front. The E is missing. Okay, so executivedrive.com. And our phone number is 1-888-330-9466. Again, I'll say it again. It's 1-888-330-9466. It's Executive Drive. We help you anywhere nationwide. So just give us a call. You can ask for me, or you can schedule a free consultation on our website as well.
And Linda, I definitely want you and her to huddle up, because you're doing some things out there, and she really is sharp on that profit, on the nonprofit and the profit
Absolutely.
organization and the write-offs. I know she knows a lot about that. So we're gonna be doing a lot of business together. So I thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
But before you go, we're gonna have prayer for my brother here, James T, to help bless us.
First of all, Natalia, it really was great, and it is great. And we, as Robert was saying, we're moving up. And when you mentioned that marketing tool, those tools that we need for marketing, we are really about to step up on that. And we're going to be inviting you to be included in that with our second studio, because we have the studio where Robert is there in Miami Lakes. And I got the last piece of equipment on yesterday.
Excellent.
For our studio in Kingdom Studios in Delray Beach. So we're about to be able to be a blessing to others. And speaking of being a blessing, let's go into our prayer. Father God, Lord Jesus, we know that you are our refuge, and that you make us feel that we need to make the most of our dwelling, and that no harm will overtake us. For we know that you give your angels to us to take charge over us and to guard us in all that we do. We ask that you would bless Natalia and her business, of course, Robert, Linda, and the Henderson Financial Group. And God, we thank you, for your protector. We thank you that you are our provider. We thank you that you're our healer and our waymaker. And we thank you that you're bigger than what we may be facing. And those people that are going to be listening and viewing, we ask that you also touch their hearts and spirits and have them turn to you to recognize that you are truly, truly the only person that has sovereignty. That SOVEREIGNTY. You are the only one that has sovereignty. I don't care about any House or any Senate, Congress. If we will turn to you and allow you to give us the mindset to seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, that we will be wonderfully blessed. We pray this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Let the church say amen. Hey, hello. Donna Jared Mays. We had John on. How you doing, Donna? How you doing, Mrs. Redhead? Good morning, Parnell. Parnell, I know you got your answer. I know you got your pen and pencil out. And I know you got a telephone number.
You can keep the Benz. You can keep the Bentley, Parnell, and have your nonprofit.
Put the let the nonprofit pay for the car.
Pay for the cars.
And, Joanne Witherspoon, Mr. Joseph Witherspoon. Hello. Good morning, Helen Lee. Brenda Brown. Hey, Tracy Tompkins. Hello. Hey, I want you all to have a fantastic weekend. Please be safe, and we'll be back here. I'm gonna be out of town next week. I'm gonna see if I can get Linda to come on and do the show because I'm gonna be I'm New York. But we'll be back.
3 months, so we're gonna be taking over like I used to do in the studio when you weren't there.
Yeah,
I was sitting in your seat in my high heels.
Tell
them
them.
all about the women.
Oh boy, now you got team up with the
and Linda, that's what we'll do. We'll have to get another female guest next week.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Linda love that.
Coming in here and taking over.
Yeah. I'm not threatened by that. I know who Eyes is. Hey, y'all have a wonderful weekend. All right. Be blessed.
You too. Enjoy.